Today I want to show you how to use a Google form for your opening activity or your bell ringer or your do now or whatever it is you call that. So log yourself into Google. You'll see up here your information and you can pull this little drop down to the drive and that should get you to your space here. There's a couple ways to do a form. It might be here, there it is, but sometimes these items move around, so I think more consistently it's easy to find it here from that plus sign. Or you can right click and go here. Either way, you're going to get yourself a new form. Oh, I'm using this in a shared folder. Don't worry about that. And you're going to go ahead and put your content here. I'm going to do a bell ringer or a do now about the three little pigs. What I'm going to have students do is visit a link, read a story, and then come back and respond to the questions. That way I'm using no paper at all. The story I want them to read is right here, Three Little Pigs, and I'm going to just go get this link. So if you highlight the link, copy it, then you should be able to put that right there in your instructions. You can tell them to read this story and then just paste it and then answer the questions, whatever. Knowing that this doesn't look like a clickable link here, that's okay, because when I preview this, you can see it's going to be a clickable link in the final form. Next, to title it. If you don't get in the habit of titling things, you're going to have an entire folder full of things called untitled. It's frustrating. So if you click right in here, it'll actually grab the title from the top line. If you don't want it to have that, you can actually type something else, or you can put the objective or the TEKS or whatever, lesson information you want to put there for your own record keeping. I'm going to go through and write a few questions, and then I'm going to talk about how I did it. So I'm going to pause my recording. Gone through and written some questions. First name and last name I always like to ask, even if it collects that, because later when I'm sorting through my information, this actually makes it easier to sort. When you write a first name, last name kind of question, it defaults to short answer, which is perfect. So that's fine. That defaulted to short answer. You also have the option to require this, make it so that they cannot submit the form without telling you their name. You can ask for ID number, and ID number actually automatically, since you wrote the word number up here, might require it to be a numeric response. That's fine. You can do that, or you can remove that validation. You can require it if you want. Class period. I don't want to leave that as a short answer text. I want it actually to be one of a series of things that they have to choose from. So I would either pick multiple choice or drop down here. And then I would add the periods that I teach. This is going to help me sort through data later. And you can require that too if you'd like. How many pigs were in the story? There's only one correct answer here. So you might want to pull a multiple choice and give them all the options. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll go through and show you in a minute how to turn this into a self-scoring quiz question. What kind of building materials were used? Well, I'm going to have 3 correct answers on this because there was straw and there were twigs and there were bricks. So when I have 3 correct answers or multiple correct answers, I want a checkbox answer. And then I'm going to put my choices in here. Bricks, aluminum, right? They got to have a distractor. Straw and twigs. So I'll go through when I make this into a scoring thing and make sure that aluminum is selected as the wrong one or that the other 3 are selected as the right one. I never showed you how to add a new question. So right here, this plus sign, that's how you do it. And sometimes you don't see that plus sign prominently displayed on the side. Sometimes the plus sign is at the bottom. That usually happens when your window is smaller. So let me make my window smaller so you can see what I'm talking about. There it is. Now it's at the bottom. So just look for that plus sign. That's how you add a new question. And my last question is going to be summarize what you read. This is brilliant. That way they have to answer your written question. And you see what happened over here. It automatically switched over to paragraph. It made a choice for me. It saw the word summarize and it predicted that I was going to want a longer answer. I do. Okay, if you want to give them more directions than that, you want to say use complete sentences, use this many sentences, this many words, whatever it is that you want to require. If you want to put in some information about how they're going to be scored, your call. But I think this is ready to roll. Now I'm going to turn it into a quiz, and then I'm going to send it out. So to turn it into a quiz, I'm going to hit this gear picture right here and go over 1, 2, 3 to quizzes. If I make this a quiz, then I can go through and do a couple of things. I can tell it I want to release the grade right away or later on. For one like this, where they're writing an answer that I have to read, I switch it to later for sure. Can they see what they missed? Can they see the correct answers? Can they get the point value? This is all your individual choice, but you can save this. And now we need to go through and add the point values to each individual question. So for mine, I only want to put points on 3 of these questions. I don't want to give them any points for telling me their name or their ID number. I'm going to go through and give a point value to how many pigs were in the story. Let's say it's worth, for argument's sake, 10 points. And then you're going to select that there were 3. This one's going to be worth 10 points also. And I'm going to select all the correct answers since there's more than one correct answer. But you get to that by clicking on answer key. I didn't show you that a moment ago. You click on answer key, and that's where you get the point assignment. So this is obviously the other 80 points. Now this is going to be the summary. I'm not going to put a sample summary there or anything. I'm just going to go through personally and read those. There it is. This is ready. It's a 100-point quiz. See, total points 100, just in case you were having trouble with your complicated math, 80 plus 10 plus 10. Then you can send it out to the kids. So when you hit send, you can come here and get a link. If the link is too long, you can shorten it. If it's still too long, then you can go into something like bit.ly and have it even shorter. Up to you, okay? So I'm going to go and generate some responses so that you can see what happens from there. Okay, so I've generated some student responses, and you can see right here under the responses tab that there are 5 of them in there. If you click on that, you can actually see a summary question by question, what they've scored so far. They haven't scored everything. They couldn't score my writing because I didn't give them that. Their names, their ID numbers, charts and graphs, that's all really useful, and you can play with that later. Question by question responses, those might be helpful if you wanted to display things in front of the class without singling out any individual student. So for example, if you pull this up and display it, you can have the summaries up there without necessarily showing whose summary was whose. So you can say, all right, this is a very good summary. Whoever wrote this was brilliant, not to put anyone individual in a spotlight. You can say this was kind of not a great summary. Wolves are not smart. Only some pigs make good decisions. What's wrong with that? Let's, as a class, pick apart these answers without making anyone embarrassed. But if you go over to individual, this is where I grade things. So right here, this is Steve Smarty Pants, and he's got this correct. It automatically scored. It gave him 10 points. He's got this correct. Again, automatically scored. Here, I have to write the score in myself. What a great summary. And if you wanted to give him some feedback, you could say, gosh, Steve, great summary. Just click right in here and say, great job. And you can do that, save it, and move on to the next kid. So I'm going to go through and look at these kids. There's Mark Matador, and he, well, probably didn't do a great job. We're getting to 50 there and give him some feedback. Let me get over to the next one here, because I've got Charlotte Copier, and this is something I wanted to address. She might be copying and pasting her work. So let's get down here, and well, you can tell this is not how Charlotte writes. So if you wanted to find out if someone's copying and pasting, do this. Highlight the thing that is suspect, right-click it and tell it to search Google, or you can copy it and paste it into Google yourself, and you might be able to see exactly where it came from, right there. That is precisely what she wrote. In fact, she knocked off the first quotation mark, right? Fable about 3 pigs who build houses, fable about 3 pigs. Yep, that is where she copied it from. So you can tell her, hey, you copied. And you can give her the URL that where she copied it from and tell her all you want to tell her right here in this little box. Give her no points if you're just, there you are, save it. I'm going to pause for just a minute and score the rest of these. I nearly forgot to tell you guys this part. Right here, this child selected 4 answers and only 3 of them were correct. If If you are in the habit of assigning partial credit, this is where you, the individual, will go through and say, well, you got 7 out of 10. You can change things like that if you want. It just automatically sees that there's a wrong thing, so it doesn't give any points right out of the gate. Thought I'd let you know that one real quick. As I was going through grading these, it occurred to me. So I have gone through now and I have graded all 5 of these, and there's the scores right up here. 100 points for this kid, 60, 77, a 10, a 60. Those are what they get. You can release the scores with this button right here. That'll email the kids back, and this is my email address. Email the kids back their score report, okay? But the most important part for me, I think, is this right here, this teeny little button that's green in the upper right-hand corner. It's Create Spreadsheet. Click that. It'll make you a brand new spreadsheet, and this is where I think this is the most brilliant product ever. So it gives me a timestamp. Hey, miss, I turned that in a week ago. No, you didn't. It gives me the email address if it collects that, and then it gives me the score. First name, last name. The reason I did those in separate boxes was so that I could sort things by last name. Absolutely perfect. This little drop down right here, you can do that. If you want to sort it by class period, you surely can do that too. Sort it here. Now I've got the first, second, third, fourth, and then you can sort it by last name. Up to you. That makes me very happy. You can come over here and you can see more responses. It kind of trails off the edge of the screen though. So how do I fix that? I can resize my columns. I can make this one a little narrower. I can make these two a little narrower. I don't need that much space for their names. This one. And boy, you sure don't need a column that wide for class period. You can resize all these things. But the thing I wanted to show you was when I make this column wider, still trails off the edge. If you select the whole column, you can go to Format, Text Wrapping, Wrap. Now it all fits on your screen, nice and easy. You can go through, you can document all your stuff, put this in your gradebook, and you've used no paper. So that, I think, is a brilliant way to use this tool, and I hope that you guys have a good time with it. Here, or what it looks like in my folder, there's the form, there's the spreadsheet. Okay, so good luck to you. Let me know if you have questions.